have an understanding what is there in this course called environmental education. Give me a minute. Let me just share my screen with you all.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am, I have a small doubt. Could you please clarify that these 3 theory papers are going to be of 1.5 hours or 3 hours?
Yes, 1.5 hours.
All 3, ma'am.
Yes, all 3.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Somebody has unmuted the mic. It's a request that put yourself on mute. Somebody has unmuted their mic. Yeah, thank you so much. So today we are going to learn about the other. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. So today we are going to deal with this paper called environmental education. That is, in this we are going to see the issues and the concerns related to environment. Because as we know, environment is being affected a lot by the human interventions or because of the natural calamities or man-made calamities. Many calamities is affecting this environment. That is the reason we find that environmental education is such a course that you can find in every every degree that the students are doing. Either they are from 10th, either they are doing intermediate, whatever course the child is doing, everybody is talking about the environment, because environment is something that if it is destroyed once, then it takes a lot of time to restore itself. So that's the reason we find that environmental education has become one of the prominent paper in all the courses that we are doing in all over the India, not only in India, all over the world as such. So now let us understand what is there in this course. So as we all know, it is again a 50 marks paper. So this 50 marks is again divided into 15:35 ratio. 35 will be your external examination, 15 will be your internal examination. So likewise, if there is a 50 marks paper, we usually have seen the practice that it has only 3 units. So in this 3 units, we are going to look into the unit 1. In this unit 1, we are going to learn about an understanding of the environment, how the weather and how the climate and how the agriculture and health is changing. Accordingly, we are going to see that. So in this, there are 5 subunits. In this 5 subunits, the first subunit is talking about the so we have these 5 subunits in this. In the first subunit, we are going to see the need and importance of environment. And then in the second subunit, we are going to see the natural calamities that impacts the environmental situation. And then we are going to see how to conserve agricultural methods, the sustainable methods that we can adapt for agriculture. We are going to see that in the third subunit. In the fourth one, we are going to see the weather change, which is going to impact the environment. And then in this fifth subunit, we are going to see the waterborne, vector-borne, or different borne diseases that is again impacting not only the human life, but also the animal life. So this is what we are going to see in the unit one. Now let me tell you what comes in the examination. So this first in the examination, so in the we can find that this is the first one. We can find it will be coming as a short answer, most probably. And then the agricultural sustainable developments will be, or mitigation methods will come in the long answer. And then the different waterborne and vector-borne diseases, again, they will be asking in the long answers. In fact, the change of rain patterns and all those will be also coming in the long answer. So you can consider these two will be majorly been asked in the short answers as such. So now that's a sure thing. Then we'll go to the second unit. In the second unit, we are going to see the environmental issues and concerns. In this, we are going to learn about the global warming in this first subunit. Then we are going to see the greenhouse effect, then ozone layer depletion. So the fourth subunit is talking about the conservation, that is 3 R's. And then we have the biodiversity, that is we are going to look into. Then as such, we can find that these two topics are a little important in the form of long answer. And then this one will be asked in the usually in short answer. Biodiversity, sometimes they may ask you long or short, depends. And yes, ozone layer, I'm sure that this whole chapters are easy enough, so you can go through once, but still I'm giving you a idea of it. Yeah. So we can find that this chapters are easy, we can go through once. So now let us go to the unit 3. In this unit 3, we are going to look into the pollution, ecosystem, and human impact on the environment. So we are going to first look into the biotic flora and fauna, the microbes that is impacting the environment or the ecosystem. And then likewise, we are going to see the abiotic air, water, and soil, and the kind of vegetation and microclimate and biodiversity is impacting the environment. Then in the second subunit, we'll see the agriculture, industry, transportation, and uh, then in the third one, we will see the mitigation water bodies. And the fourth one is little important, the mission Kakatiya, which started in Telangana state. So we will see that. And then the unit fifth is talking about the consumption, recreation, and how the green buildings can be developed, or we can say the sustainable practices that can be adapted in construction or consumption of the resources that are available. So we'll go to the unit 1. So let's begin with the unit 1. So let us see what is the need and the importance of environmental education. Um, Give me a minute. I will share a PPT. Just a minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. Just go. Give me a minute. I'm just searching for the PPT which I have prepared. Just a second. Anyhow, I think so. I lost that presentation somewhere. I'm not getting anywhere this thing. So just a minute. Actually, give me a minute now. I'm just, or else from the PDF itself, I'll teach you. Just give me 1 minute. I'll just search that presentation. If I don't find it, I will take it. Okay, fine. So, presentation was very good. Presentation was really good. Fine. So, let begin the PDF. So, let us understand what is the need uh, of the why are we learning about the environment. So need and importance of it. So first thing, as we know, in India we have different types of climates, and that's the best part. We can what we say, we can observe all the different types of temperatures or climates in India. So we can find that according to the area, there is a change of climate and there is a change of monsoons in India. So give me a minute. Let me just find that presentation. Getting it. Sorry for the inconvenience. Actually, there was a presentation that I made. I don't know where it is gone now. Let me just check once. If I don't find it, I will just go. Yeah,
Okay.
presentation that I found this. So why are we studying this environment? Basically, to understand the major environmental issues and how to engage in problem solving methods, and likewise to take an action to improve the environment. So how we can individually develop the understanding of environment as an issue, because many of us are not participating equally in maintaining the environment, because as we all know, there is only one planet, there is no another planet that we can survive. But how our practices are, when we speak about the human intervention practices, that is impacting more than the natural calamities. So basically, we are studying about the environment because to develop certain skills or the information of how to take a responsible decision of maintaining the environment. So that is one of the need that we are going to see. And let us go to the different types of cold waves, fog and snowstorms, hailstorms and thunderstorms. So when we speak about the extreme weather, whenever there is extreme weather or unseasonal weather condition, which is leading to extreme weatheric disturbances. So we can find that there are different types of extreme events that takes place when we talk about the weather. So first one is the cold waves, the fog, snowstorms, and avalanches. And likewise, the second one is the hailstorms, thunderstorms, and the dust storms. Similarly, we have heat waves, tropical cyclones, tidal waves, and there are floods, heavy rains, landslides, and the last one is the droughts. So this happens when you have the extreme weather conditions or unpredictable weather conditions that land up into such events. So now let us see what happens in this. When we speak about this severe weather, it basically that is the extreme weather events. And when we speak about the severe weather events, we can find that it is a dangerous meteorological phenomena that usually damages or develops a serious social disruption, or we can find, or there is a loss of human life. So these extreme weathers can also include high wind, hail, excessive precipitation, wildfires. As we all know, the wildfires are very horrible, and we have seen it recently in the USA. So we can find that there is a these events impact the climate, and these extreme climates impact not only the environment but also to the different human life or animal life or existing on the planet. So here these are the different types. So according to the World Meteorological Organization, the severe weather conditions are divided into two groups. That is, first is general severe weather condition, and second one is localized severe conditions. Because as we know, according to the region wise, for instance, we do not have snow here in Telangana. But when it comes to the place like hilly areas, we have snow there. So depending upon the geographical locations, depending upon the geographical phenomena, the seasonal events are being evident according to their region wise. So that's why they have given general and localized severe weather conditions. So there are certain characteristics of such things. So we can find that tornadoes, it can be clouds, strong winds, rain, or hail as well. Then we have hurricane or cyclones, which includes the strong winds and heavy rains. Then blizzard, which has heavy snow, ice, cold temperatures, and dust storms will usually have strong winds, arid condition. Similarly, when we speak about floods, definitely you can find heavy rainfall in the form of floods in the cities like Telangana. Similarly, we have hailstorms, like we have cold or warm temperatures, rain as ice in the rain. So we can find that there is ice storms, which is very freezing, and it also have a freezing rain in the one of the characteristics. Now, when we speak about the high winds, it is known to cause damage, depends upon its strength, because this 43 kilometers per hour may lead to a powerful outage, which is like it can it can remove the tree branches, fall into the as we have seen how the damage it happens. And it can also, we can find that there is a hurricane force winds that we can find, which is more destructive in nature, because they disrupt the structural damage to the buildings. So these are the one reason, one of the one of the events that we see, high winds. Then cyclones, as we know, cyclone is defined as any large system of wind that rotates about a center of low atmospheric pressure. As we all know, the cyclone happens in this way. It goes like this, right? So here we can find that wind that rotates about the center of a low atmospheric pressure. So here you can find the low atmospheric pressure, and then later low atmospheric pressure, and then slowly the atmospheric pressure increases there. So this is what cyclone means. So it is it act it looks like a swirling action. So it looks like a swirling action. So basically, the clockwise direction north of the equator, it happens, and clockwise direction in the south of the equator. So there is we can find in the northern side of the equator, you can find the cyclones moving counterclockwise, that is anti-clockwise. And then in the southern region of the equator, we can find it moving into clockwise direction. So this is what the cyclone is, and we can find that this cyclonic storms sometimes bring no rainfall also. The cyclone storms bring no rainfall certain times, but creates a low and a high pressure respectively. And we can also find that there are several parts of the globe in a varied size of ranging from larger to smaller dimensions. We can find that the cyclones are occurring. Then we'll go to the tornado. In the tornado, we can find it is a narrow, violent, rotating column of air that extends from the base of the thunderstorm to the ground, as we can see in the videos, from the sky to the land. Okay, in simple words, it goes like this and like this and like this and like this, right? So the base of the ground will be thunderstorms. Usually when it is heavily raining areas, that tornado takes place, or even if the places are very huge and wide and empty, at that time also we can find tornadoes taking place. So this is one of the things which we see about the tornado, because these are very dangerous column of airs in a contact with both surface of earth and the base of the columnus thunder clouds, or the cumulus clouds in the rare cases. Usually we find only near the ocean areas or the water bodies we find such tornadoes occurring. Or usually in the vast lands, we find the tornadoes are only contact with the surface of the earth, which we have seen recently in one of the place of the Andhra, I suppose, right? Then there is another event that happens, that is water spouts or no supercell tornadoes. So these water spouts are generally defined as tornadoes or non-supercell tornadoes that develop over the bodies of the water bodies, as I told you. So these water spouts typically do not much damage because they occur over the open water, but they are capable of traveling to the land as well. But usually never happens. So definitely when there are vegetation, weakly constructed buildings may be getting destroyed because of such water spouts. Then we'll go to the other one, the heat burst, which is associated with strong gusty winds. So here in the meteorology, the heat burst is a rare atmospheric phenomena. It is atmospheric phenomena characterized by a gusty wind which is increasing rapidly in temperature and decreasing in the dew point, that is reduction of the moisture. So this is a very common phenomena we find usually in the desert areas, when the heat bursts are very common there. Because of that reason, it is only we can find in the desert areas, only near the oasis, there is existence of human life, because you cannot survive such extreme conditions so easily in the desert areas. So likewise, we can find that such heat bursts occur during the late springs and the summer seasons in the specific areas. And we can find that it is accompanied with gusty winds, extreme temperature change, and extreme decrease in the humidity. So the heat burst is created by vertical currents on the backside of the old outflow boundaries and square lines where rainfall is lacking. As I told you, majorly we find such things in the heat burst, usually in the deserted areas. So we can find that they have recorded the temperature of heat burst, which is reaching above 38 degrees centigrade to and rising from 11 degrees centigrade or more within only few minutes. So within very low temperature to the higher temperatures, they can easily move on. Then we have the tropical cyclones, which are rapidly rotating storm system, okay, characterized by a low pressure center and a closed level atmospheric circulation, strong winds, and a spiral arrangement of the thunderstorms. So these tropical cyclones usually have, it is produced because of the heavy rain. The tropical cyclones, which is commonly seen accompanied with the thunderstorms. So we can find that such thunderstorm cyclones, these tropical cyclones are usually they are called as hurricanes. Now let us go to typhoons. Typhoons are low pressured tropical storms, which is violent, low pressure tropical storms, which occurs majorly in the Western Pacific Ocean, which is similar to that of hurricane, beginning near the equator and move towards the west side. They advance slowly because from 15 to 25 kilometers per speed, the circular winds around the center are very strong, often reaching speed of 240 kilometers per hour and as large as 480 kilometers per hour. So we can find that how the increase of the movement is diameter of the typhoons increases. So very much commonly seen in the Pacific Ocean. Now western side of the Pacific Ocean. Then we'll go to the hurricanes. In the hurricanes, we can find that they are dangerous storms that affect the we can find they do a major damage to by killing many people, because these hurricanes are likely a kind of a giant self-sustaining heat engine kind of a method they follow, because it is keeping itself going until it stops. So the hurricane usually have the moist air, which is very colder in nature, and it also has when it comes to the near the oceans, whenever there's a hurricane, it is very condensed form of atmosphere. The atmosphere condensed form of water molecules you can find in there. Then we have the thunderstorms is a rain shower during the heat thunder. So here we can find these thunderstorms are classified as severe, and in which they have, it may also have 1 inch to or greater than 1 inch. The wind is gusting to 50 knots, that is 57.5 mph, or or like similar to that of a tornado. So we can find these thunderstorms are they have the unstable air, and it has a sun heat in it, and obviously when there is a thunderstorm, if the thunderstorm falls on something, it has a greater damage to that place. So we can have this, the water vapor which is containing has begun, and we have all the water cycle, the condensation of the in the form of clouds that is happening. It is creating such thunderstorms, because the heavier the cloud, the thunderstorms can be easily created. So we can find that the thunderstorms are a great way for the atmosphere atmosphere is energy. So because as we know, it has the electrically charged molecules in it, which create a bolt of water. In the thunderstorm, the cycle goes like this. First, it will be the developing stage, then happens the mature stage, then the precipitating stage. Dissipating stage. So in these three stages, you have the thunderstorms developing, and it is being pushed upward from the column of air. So this is called as towering cumulus. The clouds which are coming together and forming the thunderstorm is this process is called as towering cumulus. And then later on at the downfall, the air pushes down the columns, and then the thunderstorm takes place. So these are called as intercloud lightning, or it is also called as IC. And between the two clouds, it is the CC lighting or CG lighting that takes place. Now let us go to the downburst of the thunderstorms. Here in the downburst, we can find that the thunderstorms are significantly having rain, which is cold, very cold air rain. Here we can find that there is dry downburst, wherein you have little precipitation. And in this, there are micro bursts that are there, very small downward burst, along with the wind that happens. And then you have the macro burst taking place. From micro to macro burst that takes place. Then a square line thunderstorm. Here in the square line thunderstorm, we have severe thunderstorm that can form a long or a head of cold front. A square line is known as the quasi-linear convective system. So this convective system is creating a line of thunderstorm forming in the creating a square shape. Then we have strong extratropical cyclones. This happens very much characteristics we can find very much closer to the occurring usually closer to the equator, or we can find that it receives excess heat from the sun, and the equator belt is conveyed towards higher latitudes. Then such strong extratropical cyclones takes place. So these extratropical cyclones usually happen with 100 to 500 kilometers in diameters. They are very violent cyclones, and we can find that this event is typically stays for several days, and until and unless the weather changes. Then we can see there is dust storm, very common in the deserted areas, very common. So we can find this such dust storms very much prevailing in Rajasthan and Gujarat regions because we have the Thar desert there. So we can find that the dust storms are very common in Indian context as well. But when it comes to other deserts in all over the world, yes, dust storms are very common characteristics, that common event that happens in such deserted areas. So we can find that what is a dust storm? It is nothing but it is a kind of unusual form of wind. It is an unusual form of windstorm that is characterized by the extents of large quantities of sand and dust particles carried by the wind. So a large amount of sand particles are being carried through the wind, and it moves at a very high velocity. So we can find that due to these dust storms, there is a larger chances of damaging of the agriculture, larger issues in concern to the agricultural industries, because we can find that uh, there is a lot of dust accumulation, removal of the agricultural lands upper part. So such things happen because of such dust storms. Now let us go to the storm surge. In this storm surge, we find that there is a great threat to life because these are a form of tropical cyclones, because it is rising from water moving into the land. So this is a very horrible situation that happens. Then you have the wildfires, which is very common in Canada, USA, Northwest China. Uh, as we know, the California wildfires, which stayed for very long time in the recent times. very recent times we have seen such. During the COVID time itself, we could find that this California wildfires were existing for a very long time. So we can find such, the reason for the wildfires is the ozone layer depletion. So now we will learn about the ozone layer also. Now let us see what is a hailstorm. Hailstorms are basically, uh, it is a combination of rain and the solid precipitation. That is nothing but we find that ice cubes falling from the sky when rain happens, right? Have you ever seen that? So that is the hailstones that happen, because if the hailstones are very big enough, then it damages a lot of livestock, a lot of things. In fact, it also damages the automobiles, aircraft, skylights, glass roof structures, livestock and crops. Because when there is a hailstorm coming, then we can say that the farming which is going to happen will not be as desired. Now let us see about the heavy rainfall and flooding. Heavy rainfall and flooding, it is a result of the what you say extreme weather event, because we have seen recently many times in Telangana happening this heavy rainfall or flooding rainfall, which we ourselves have witnessed. We can say that according to the meteorological studies, they say that such excessive rain occurs within a plum of air with high amount of moisture in it, known as atmospheric river. It is such a thing. So it happens when there is upper level cold core lowering of the temperature and a tropical cycle, then only such a heavy rain flooding takes place. Now let us go to the flash floods. The flash floods happen because of the intense rainfall in a localized area, wherein we can find that usually they drain away the quiet, very, quietly, very quickly they drain away the upper layer of the land. Because these flash floods will be um, carrying a lot of water, and we can find that it happens majorly in the urban areas. Urban environments, such flash floods are very commonly seen. Or we can find that where the water runs down the hill and the land surfaces will be moved away very, a very large amount of uh, material will be moved away. Because as I told you, there is moving plants, crops. If it is agriculture, that also it will be moved away from the flash floods. Now, when we speak about the monsoons, we can find that we in India we had a proper temperature, but today, as we have seen, the environmental impact is there is a lot of global warming and environmental effects are happening. Because of this, there is a change in the monsoon pattern as well. So we can find that there's a widespread flooding due to air rainfall is happening. There is landslides, which is landslides are nothing but do you know what is a landslide? So we can find during this landslides or during the monsoon, there is a lot of foodborne and waterborne diseases that happens. Then there is severe winter weather. Severe winter weather usually is deposited because of the snowfall equivalent or snow falling. If there's a strong frozen conditions, then we can say that it is a severe winter weather. Then ice storms, as we know from the word itself, it is very cold, freezing condition, wherein the liquid precipitation which freezes upon into a colder surface. And we can find such things, such event taking place. Then heat and the drought, as we all know, the increment of the heat leading to drought. Drought is nothing but loss of life, loss of fertility, loss of moisture, loss of cold temperature, because all those things is nothing but the heat and the drought. So they both are accompanied together, because if there is a high heat in the environment, then there is a larger chances of the drought. So drought is something that is not only impacting one human life, but also the livestock and as well as the plant life. Then heat waves, which is very common in our Telangana region, because we are near to the equator. Because of that reason, we find that heat waves are common during summer temperature. Okay, so this is what about the different conditions. Then you have conservation of agriculture. In the conservation of agriculture, you can find there is soil conservation that takes place, because soil is the basic material that is used in the agricultural system. So managing, conserving this land and making that uh, land to be more fertile and having that ability to reproduce is what conservation talks about. So we have agroeconomics measuring the soil conservation, wherein they consider and coordinate with the effectiveness of the soil and they work upon it. Then you have land preparation, such measures we can take in the soil conservations, like we have the land preparation, counter cultivation, choice of crops, strip cropping, crop rotation, cropping system. All these are being measures that we can take for land preparation. Then counter, there are different types of counter cultivations, like we have uh, yeah. Yes, can you see the presentation here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here we can basically soil conservation talks about the how to provide nutrients, how to have recycle, filter the water, storing of water, soil to make the soil more fertile, how to provide the nutrients to the soil. And then we have there are certain methods that we follow. First is the cover crops. Cover crops are nothing but they are the crops that provide soil protection, seeding protection and soil improvement between the period of normal crop production. So usually they use a mixed cover crops including grasses, legumes. By basically they increase the biomass uh, returned to the soil. Basically, it helps in enhancing the activity of soil organism and improves soil productivity. Similarly, we have the advantages of it, because it protects from soil erosion, it makes the soil fertile, it fixes the nitrogen uh, uh, component in the soil that is much required. And then we have the preventing the leaching of the nutrients, because if number of crops, if you start growing and if you're not maintaining a method, then what happens is there is leaching of nutrients. Leaching means all the nutrients from the soil is being exhausted, the leaching effect which we call it as. Then you have planting of trees for conservation, because as we have taken the Haritaharan mission to plant more trees, because in fact it is said, it is shown that from the statistics that when the world statistics was done about the greenery of maintenance of the greenery, we can find that this the Haritaharan techniques or Haritaharan missions that was taken up was having a greater impact. So here we can find that the world statistics said that near the Asian countries, the methods that they have adapted, they have contributed in the reduction of the greenhouse effect. So that also we can find the methods that has been taken up by the governments. Then we have the terrace farming. The terrace farming is one of the good methods of soil conservation, wherein what they do is they do the terrace farming in the form of sloping lands, which was actually very much adapted during this Harappan civilization. So the same method is being followed till today. So this terrace farming is farming of land in a sloping area, wherein which has a lot of flat level areas, like we have steps, no, like that they do the farming. From the picture itself we can see how they are doing. So basically such type of farming reduces erosion and it helps in counter farming, and soil erosion is reduced to 10%, and we can find that it holds the rainwater, helps in cultivating the rainwater. And there is no till farming method. In this no till farming methods, what they do is that no till farming leaves or old materials are being left behind, because when such things are there, the planting cannot happen. So the old plants hold the soil in a place until the new plant grows. So such methods are followed, wherein there is no till farming, which is growing crops without disturbing it through tillage. So here again, it supports it helps the reduction of the soil erosion, maintains crop productivity, reduces wind erosion, and it has sustained crop production. And also it helps in promoting the microbial processes. Then you have the counter plowing. The counter plowing is a method wherein they do the farming across the slopes, taking into account the slope gradient. This is a practice which is very commonly seen in the low-lying wetlands, like we have in the Telangana or the Andhra region. It is one of the very common practices we see. In the sloping areas, you might have seen they do the such practice of agriculture, counter plowing agriculture. So we can find that the corn, beans, or wheat is one of the chief, what you say, crop that is being grown by using such agricultural methods. Then we have the advantages of it. It reduction of erosion, prevents topsoil, and it maintains the minerals used to grow the crops. And yes, it is one of the best methods wherein they can protect the uh, agriculture or the farm from uh, loss from the heavy rains. There is another method called crop rotation. In the crop rotation, they keep on, so yeah, it is to maintain the soil fertility. So we have, I have given you a diagram which is very easy to understand. So if the farmer is growing this potato and tomato, they are family each other, they are family of each other. So like that they can combiningly they can do the this thing farming. Then you have legumes, then brassicas, which has cabbage, uh, radish, and all such vegetables. Then root oriented vegetables such as beetroot, carrot, all this can be grown. So in this cycle, if you grow the crops, there won't be much of the erosion of the soil. So this crop rotation is a good practice wherein you have growing a series of dissimilar type of crops, which has us based upon the sequential seasons, and which helps us to reduce the imbalances into the atmosphere, into the soil uh, chemical composition, and reducing the adverse effect of it. So this crop rotation practice helps in according to the sequence, according to the requirement, we can use this method, and it also helps the soil to come back to its original state as well. So it is a method which is a very long term that happens. So it's a long term rotational method that we take. So as we all know the advantages of it, it improves soil fertility, it increases the crop yield, and builds up reduction of the buildup of pest. So pest will also not grow much, and it has its own net profit, because the agriculture yield that happens is having a great net profit to it. And definitely it improves the wildlife habitat, reduces the what you say, chemical abuses that the farmer does on the crops. It reduces that and also reduces the water pollution. Then there is another method called intercropping. In the intercropping, as you can see from the picture itself, there are bigger trees and small plants or shrubs that are grown together. So this intercropping is a multiple cropping system wherein two or more crops are grown simultaneously so that they can have a beneficial interaction between each, creating a reducing the negative interaction and developing a positive interaction among the plant life. So the deeper rooted plant species absorb nutrients and it maintain the soil fertility deeper and maintains the nitrogen level and helps the other crops to develop to produce in a beneficial manner. So we can find that they have a symbiotic relationship that happens in the interactive uh, um, intercropping method. Then we have the advantages of it. It reduces erosion vulnerability, improves overall health of the crop. Then salinity management is very important because as we know, there is a lot of salt accumulation of salt onto the lands or on the soil because of the cropping system that happens. So to reduce that, it is very important because it is one of the erosion that happens on the soil. Then there is another windbreak shelter belt methods, wherein this windbreak shelter belts are planted in such a way that they grow the farming in rows of trees or shrubs. So there'll be a row of tree, or there'll be a row of shrubs. So in that manner, they grow such plantation. Yeah. So we can find that yeah, because it provides shelter from the wind. Yeah. So such the higher. Yeah, so we can find that they protect the soil from the erosion and it helps in sheltering the wind because they are acting like a blockage system, the bigger trees. So we can find that such fields on farms will help in reducing the cost of heating and cooling and saving the energy. When we speak about the soil organisms, that is a need of the soil to maintain the soil fertility. So here we can find that they are organisms like earthworms, which is benefiting the soil. In fact, I have seen recently uh, there is one NGO, I don't remember the name. It was started by a mother and a daughter. What they have started doing is they started collecting wet waste from the kitchens of the restaurants and the hotels. And from that wet waste of the kitchen, they started creating manure and they started selling that manure for planting trees at any level, whatever level you want. So it's a very good method of developing manure from the kitchen waste. So that again, they have formed an NGO actually. So this is about the soil conservation we have seen. And then now let us go to the another topic of our subject, hot and weather conditions. Basically, hot and cold weather, unseasonal and irregular rains causing diseases. It is a very common phenomena we are encountering today in the urban places or cosmopolitan cities. So we can find the major cause of such things is the change in the climate, the worsening of the air quality, and the high rate of pollution that is changing the climate condition. So what are the causes and symptoms of now let us see first thing is the foodborne diseases. So the foodborne diseases are basically happens because of the contamination of food or beverages because of the pathogens or the microbes. Pathogens are those organisms which creates disease. So as we know, there are microbes available in every corner of the air. We have organisms existing everywhere. But when these organisms become pathogenic, and then those pathogens will cause the disease. So such pathogens are also called as opportunistic organisms. If your immune system is weaker, these pathogens will impact your immune system and definitely they will make you ill. So we can find such organisms, such pathogens are called as opportunistic pathogens, or they are contaminating in nature, which creates a harmful toxins or chemicals in the body. So usually we find the symptoms of foodborne illness is usually the common thing is diarrhea, vomiting, which may last for 1 to 7 days, or stomach flu, which is again starting from the virus, and it creates a foodborne illness. So anything which is associated with food, they are called as foodborne illness. So it is also important that when we are consuming the seafood, it is very important to see that the sea animal which you are consuming is not having any diseases. So usually that's the reason when we buy some sea animals, so we usually open it and see it completely, because uh, uh, they create like they have horrible diseases that they give. Like one of the diseases which comes from the meat that we usually see is tapeworms coming. Tapeworm is one of the disease that happens. So that is one thing. These are the things that we need to be very conscious of. So whenever we are buying certain foods, usually the meat or the seafood, we need to be very conscious of it. Now let us go to the airborne transmission, how the airborne diseases happens, because this airborne, as we are very much aware today because of the COVID that happened recently. So as we all know that airborne diseases are basically transmitted through the respiratory droplets that is being expelled into the air, and because of that reason, if a person sneezes, coughs, laughs, or otherwise somebody exhales that thing, then the airborne diseases are likely to happen. So, so we can find such airborne transmission is varying from the distance. So usually the airborne diseases that occurs usually happens within the diameter of 6 feet. If you are into the 6 feet diameter of that affected person, then definitely that disease is being transmitted to you. So this is the a major observation we find in the airborne diseases. So the transmission is happening through the droplets of the from the human body that is released from the human person. So one of the few of the diseases are like measles. We have a lot of viral infection that happens because of the airborne diseases. Measles is one of the very common diseases, one of the very contagious diseases that takes place, and we have seen this majorly in the whole world. 90% of the people usually go through this measles disease. And one of our, I met one pathologist, he used to say that it is always good that a child should have more diseases, because by the age of 5 to 6 years, it seems, if you are falling ill a lot, then by the time you grow up, you become more stronger. Because till 1 to 6 years, they have, so 1 to 6 years, this is the age where your body is working, or your the metabolism is very high, and your immune system will become more stronger. The more ill you fall till the age of 6, the more stronger you become by the time you grow old. So they say usually we see that in the school age, the measles and such running nose, cough, watering eyes, all such things are very common in the young age. Apart from that, there is tuberculosis. Again, this is one of the very dreadful diseases. It is basically, it was a life-threatening disease before, but today we are having cure for it. Can you tell me there is a difference between treatment and a cure? What is the
Cure is completely getting cured, ma'am. And treatment, it's a ongoing process.
yes? Yeah. So it helps. Treatment is only, yeah, treatment is reducing the suffering, and it makes you live long with that disease, but the disease stays with you. So previously, TB only had a treatment, but today with the greater development of technology in the pharmaceutical field, we can find that TB has a cure today. So one of the major cause of TB is, again, it's a airborne disease. Either if you touch, if you share your food, then TB is likely to happen. TB doesn't happen only in the lungs. It happens in your spinal cord. It happens onto your liver. It can affect any organ of your body. The only drawback of TB is it leaves the lesions on the organ if it is affected. For instance, if you had this TB on your liver, the lesion of that TB will be left over because the organism, uh, this bacillus, it is a bacillus organism that happens. It is a spore-bearing bacillus that affects the organ. That's the name of the organism. It's a spore-bearing bacillus. So these spore-bearing bacillus are very harmful in nature because they do not die with chemical. They do not die with anything. The spore only dies because of the steam. That is the reason your all your hospital things are being gone into the steam. Why they steam the things? Because on, in the steaming procedure, all the organism dies. This tuberculosis organism doesn't even die because of the high chemical compositions also. It can resist that. But through steam, it can be killed easily. So that's the reason all the medicinal the material will be gone under the steam. That's the reason you find even in the hotels, you find the warm plates and all. Why they keep warm, why they do the steaming is because to remove that spore bearing bacillus acid. So apart from that, other diseases that are very common is the chicken pox, influenza, whooping cough, respiratory syncytial virus, then preventing, which helps in all these other viruses that affects. So best measures that you can take is whenever you're coughing, it is always better that you cover your face with handkerchief, or you can go into, you can cough below your elbow and wash your hands frequently. Uh, Regularly clean your surfaces, handles, counters which are touching very commonly. So these are the few practices which we can do. Then let us go to the waterborne diseases, which has their impact. So waterborne diseases, again, they have the pathogenic microorganisms which are toxic in nature. They have serious conditions like cholera, diarrhea, typhoid, embasias, hepatitis, gastroenteritis. All these are the diseases which are caused because of the waterborne disease. Waterborne diseases are more harmful actually. Uh, they are harmful because before this pandemic of corona, we had diarrhea. What do you say? What was that? Salmonella type, not salmonella typhi. Was Vibrio cholera. Cholera was the disease before the pandemic. This corona का जो हुआ उससे पहले it was cholera, which was making people die at a very large level. So we can find that how pandemic में कैसा हुआ या कोविड के टाइम पे वैसे ही cholera के टाइम पर भी 100 years back we can find people were dying like this. In every home there were 2 to 3 people who used to die every day. उतना ज़्यादा हो गया था cholera का, because Vibrio cholera was an organism which was was very difficult to be killed. So it has taken a longer time to get prevention from it or get cure from it. But today we have a cure for Vibrio cholera as well. So as I told you, below 5 years, if these are the most common diseases of waterborne, very common waterborne diseases occurs in the children below 5 years, very commonly seen. They do vomits, they do diarrhea, like that. So cholera is, when we speak about the cholera, it is one of the major reason is Vibrio cholera, which is contaminating the drinking water or food, and it exists in the higher saline conditions as well. When we want to grow Vibrio cholera, what we used to do, we used to add more salt into the agar. We used to use the liquid agar to grow these cholera organisms. The cholera organism survives in the high saline conditions. So apart from this, we also find that HIV is also one of the diseases of it is an infection that happens through contact. So here, but we do not have any cure for this HIV. Then we have typhoid. Salmonella typhi is one of the bacteria which contaminates the water and which makes the person suffer. It has the episodes, like it has fever, the episodes of fever, the loss of appetite, nausea, headaches, constipation, and loss of body weight. All these are symptoms of typhoid. So this is a contagious disease, and it is one of the disease which has to be taken care of. Then we have amoebiasis. This amoebiasis is caused by a parasite, Entamoeba histolytica. This parasite, I know that I'm sure that you know what is a parasite. What is a parasite? Can somebody tell me what is a parasite? Parasite is an organism which cannot survive by his own self. It needs a host. So when it needs a host, what that parasite does, that parasite goes and what it does, it takes up the control of that another organism, and they survive in their body. So like we have the viruses, which are a common thing which we see. The viruses are the parasites because they cannot survive by their own selves. Just give me a minute, ma'am. I'll just come. Give me a minute. Yes. So this amoebiasis is something that is, it is a protozoan which is transmitted and consumes the cyst, and it makes the organism to be contaminated. So major reason for this spread of disease is the contamination of soil or fecal matter. If you have this contamination, then amoebiasis is one of the common disease we find. Then hepatitis A, B we have. So the hepatitis A, again, it's a virus. It is, all the viruses are parasitic in nature. So you can find that this hepatitis A is also one of the one which causes which affects the liver. So then, yeah. So with this, we finished our unit 1. We'll shift to the other unit, that is unit 2. In the unit 2, we are going to see about the environmental issues and the like the global warming, the effect of it, and melting ice caps and the greenhouse effect. So when we speak about the global warming, it is a gradual rise in the Earth's temperature, which is also caused by the high levels of uh, carbon atoms, carbon dioxide, and the other gases in the atmosphere. Or otherwise, we can say that an increase in the average temperature worldwide is believed to cause the greenhouse effect. Okay, so what are the most important greenhouse gases? One is CO2, carbon dioxide, and then there is methane, Okay, there is methane, which is a combustion process because it is anaerobic decomposition. When there is an anaerobic decomposition, the methane gas is produced. Then you have nitrous oxide, which is a byproduct of the fertilizers production during the industrial process. And the combustion of certain materials. These nitrous oxides are being. Then we have the fluorinated gases. These fluorinated gases are, this is created as a replacement of the ozone depletion refrigerants, which is provided to extreme long-lasting warming gases. So then you have the sulfur hexafluorides, which is used for specialized medical procedures. So these are the major gases which is impacting the which is affecting developing this greenhouse effect. So the effect on melting ice cap is we find that glaciers in a big chunks of ice near the glaciers are falling, and as we all know, near this Arctic and Antarctic areas, the depletion of this, it is, uh, the glaciers are melting at a very high speed because of one of the reasons we had these floods in Pakistan in the recent times. So we can find that the glaciers are melting and making the temperature going low, and making the high altitudes areas or the mountain tops to move into the sea levels. So this is also one of the reasons that we are having the loss of high altitude areas like mountain tops. They, so we can find that there is an extreme flooding that is happening in the low-lying areas, and yes, above the sea level areas, the effect is being prominent. So what is the effect of this melting glaciers? Let us see that. Extreme flooding, wherein we can find that the melting of ice causing a rise in the water level in the water bodies, such as the rivers, lakes, and the seas. And biodiversity loss in a sense, animal losing homes, and there are a lot of living organisms that are dependent on glaciers for continuous existence. Those animals are also day by day they are reducing. So in fact, it is said that yeah, there is one of the recently I have seen that in the Antarctic region, it seems, and there are different organisms that are being stored. There are now. It is also said that if such glaciers are going to melt, they are also going to come with number of diseases which we have not even we are not even known of such diseases. So recently they have found different organisms existing into the glaciers of the Antarctic area. So like that, we can there will be a lot of diseases. There will be a lot of loss of biodiversities as well. Then definitely the coral reefs will disappear, as we are seeing today. Also, there's a lot of impact on the coral life of the water, because the corals are the ones which keeps the water clean. They are the natural source of cleansing the water. That is all that can also be reduced because of the low temperature, and reducing the quality of the water quality as well. Then what is a greenhouse? Let us see that. When we speak about the greenhouse, it's a made of a house made of glass. So it has glass walls and glass roof. Basically, they grow tomatoes and flowers and other plants in them. One of the best example I will give here is we have tomatoes very commonly getting in our Telangana region very easily. But when it comes to Iceland, wherein you have 6 months night and 6 months day, and Netherlands is a place where you don't have night at all. You always have day there. So in such areas, the agriculture is not that profound. So to adapt certain methods, the Iceland, what they do is the people of Iceland, they have the glaciers or not glaciers, sorry, geysers, the natural geysers they have. So they use the water from the natural geysers and they produce the vegetation in the greenhouses. So like that, they trap the glass house will trap the sunlight, whatever they're getting, and they make the place warmer to produce the agriculture in that area. So that is what. So Earth as a greenhouse, when we speak about Earth as a greenhouse, we can say that Earth's atmosphere does the same thing as a greenhouse because the gases in the atmosphere, uh, such as carbon dioxide, do the what the roof of a greenhouse does. During the day, the sun shines through the atmosphere. Earth's surface is warm. Earth's surface is warm in the sunlight, and at the night, Earth's surface is cool, releasing the heat back into the air. So some of the heat is trapped by the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. That's what keeps our Earth warm. So that's method. That's the principle they follow in the greenhouse. So what is a greenhouse effect? First one is what they do is solar radiation reaches the Earth's atmosphere. Some of this is reflected back into the space. And second step, the rest of the sun energy is absorbed by the land and the ocean, heating the Earth. And the third step, heat radiates from the Earth towards the space back. Some of the fourth step includes some of the heat is trapped by the greenhouse gases at the atmosphere, keeping the Earth warm enough to sustain life. And in the fifth step, we can find that human activities such as burning fossil fuel, agriculture, land cleaning are increasing the amount of greenhouse gases releasing into the atmosphere. Because of this, we are finding the problems. So this is the sixth step is this is trapping extra heat and causing the Earth's temperature to rise high. So naturally, the greenhouse effect is being disturbed because of the human activities. So what is greenhouse gases? Greenhouse gases include, it includes water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide. And this greenhouse effect combines with increased level of greenhouse gases and resulting in global warming. So Earth as a greenhouse, role of carbon, fossil fuels, carbon in and out of the living things. So Earth as a greenhouse, we can find that as we have seen, a minimal amount of greenhouse effect is good, but the higher greenhouse chemicals are landing up to the global warming. So some of the heat is trapped and the atmosphere is maintained properly. So this is it. We are finished with this. Yeah, what are the fossil fuels? Now let us see what are the fossil fuels. It includes coal, oil, and gas, which are called as fossil fuels, which are, these are formed from the fossil remains of the dead prehistoric plants and animals. All three were formed mainly 100 millions of years ago, before the time of dinosaurs, we can say. So the age they were formed is called as Carboniferous period. So this Carboniferous gets its name from the carbon, the basic element in the coal that and other fossil fuels. So how these fossil fuels are formed? So these fossil fuels are formed because found when the organic matter that has been buried deep within the earth are subjected to heat pressure over millions of years. So here in the image, you can see how oil and the natural gases are formed. Petroleum and the natural gases. So oceans, can you see? And can you go through, can you understand this? So here in the first picture, what we can see, the tiny sea plants and animals died and were buried onto the ocean floor over a time, and they were covered by the layer of silt and the sand. Then over millions of years, the remains were buried deep and deeper. The enormous heat and the pressure turned them into oil and gases. Today, we drill down through the layers of the sand and silt and rock to reach the rock formation and contain oil and gas deposits. So like this, we are using this fossil fuels for energy production. How coal is formed? Before the dinosaurs, many giant plants died in swamps, and over millions of years, the plants were buried under the water and dirt. Heat and pressure turned the dead plant into coal. So in both these cases, heat and pressure is playing a critical role in forming the fossil and fuel. So what we do by using this fossil fuel as energy, we are using it like a energy. So it is a non-renewable resource, as we all know, very hard to form again. So because it takes years together to form this fuel. So there are three forms of fossil fuels we are working on, we are using: natural gas, coal and oil, petrol. So the mostly wide fossil fuel that we use is petroleum. Word is derived from petro, means rock, and lium, oil. Around 40% of the electricity is generated worldwide through coal, and it is abundant resource. Then natural gases is majorly used in the industries, majorly used in industrial sector as it more efficient and convenient source of energy. Apart from this, let us see what are the other use of fossils. So we use for oil, we use for coal, we use for as a natural gas. So oil, as we know, we are using petrol, which is called as black gold, which is being extensively used to in generation of the electricity, transportation, automobiles, and jets. And use of coal, we can find it is consists of five elements: sulfur, nitrogen, hydrogen, and carbon and oxygen. Wherein we can find that it has the properties of anthracite, bituminous, and lignite. Basically, this anthracite is hard within more carbon components, molecules are there, and other two are having the highest energy in it. So the greater these carbon, if more carbon elements, it will turn into diamonds as well. So the what is the use of natural gas? That is, we have composed natural gas, and we find these gases to be more cleaner than oil and coal, and which we use in stoves, in the household stoves, and in like we use for in the it helps in production of the paints, fertilizer, plastics, and dyes. Like that, we use the natural gases. What are the disadvantages of the fossil fuels? Is that they produces they give off a lot of carbon dioxide, which is again impact developing the greenhouse effect, leading to global warming, and it is making the earth more warmer than before. What is carbon? When we speak about the carbon, it's one of the very important chemical element with the chemical symbol of C. All known life on Earth need it, right? So we have carbon as one of the atomic mass, which has 12, and atomic number is 6. It contains 6 protons and 6 neutrons within its nucleus. So the number of protons and electrons is what determines its property. So they are incredibly important for us. So without carbon, we cannot imagine existence of human life or any life on the earth. So more the carbon atoms, the better the diamond quality is. That is what we see when we give the diamond, when we want to check a diamond's this thing, they check the carbon molecules. Yes, it is also carbon is also considered as the base of the life, one of the most important component of life found on Earth, and one of the most complex molecules that can make up contain carbon bonds with other elements. Right, we have the carbon dioxide, carbon bonded with hydrogen, carbon bonded with nitrogen. So there are many such molecules formed and forming carbohydrates, lipids, all these other carbon-based elements. Then we have biological processes like we have DNA and RNA also having the carbon component in it. Yes, we can find that how does carbon get into living things? Yes, we can find that whatsoever it is, millions of years, we can find that this carbon material is one of the major element, one of the richest element that is existing in all the existing living lives. So how does the carbon get out of living things? So it comes out in the form of three things, in the form of heat, water, and gas. Yeah, finally it becomes a fossil. Then we'll go to the other topic. So we can, Yes, so we'll go to the other topic, that is ozone layer depletion. So when we speak about the ozone layer depletion and what is the impact, climatical impact, and what is the effect of it on other living beings, we'll see that. So when we speak about the ozone layer is the existing in the stratosphere of the atmosphere. It is encircling the whole Earth. It is the layer which is helping the harmful ultraviolet rays to come to the Earth, which is emitted through the sun. So what is ozone? It is a special form of oxygen which is made up of three oxygen atoms. It is rather than the usual two oxygen atoms, because ozone in the Earth's stratosphere is created by the UV light striking ordinary oxygen molecules, which is having two oxygens, but it has been split into two individual oxygens and atomic oxygens. The atomic oxygens are then combined with unbroken oxygen to create an ozone. So the chemical formula is O3. So here we can find the chemical formula which I have given here. Then what is this ozone layer depletion? So the ozone layer depletion is simply the reduction of the amount of ozone in the stratosphere, because this depletion includes the chlorofluorocarbons and hydrofluorocarbons used widely. Because of these two chlorofluorocarbons, the impact on the ozone is increasing, which is whereas we are using the refrigerators in foam, solvents, and other applications, which is releasing this chlorine atoms into the stratosphere. And a single chlorine atom can break apart more than 1 lakh ozone molecules at a stretch. So because of this, we can find that there is ozone layer depletion, which is in a way damaging the ozone layer. And when we speak about the methyl bromine, which is used as a pesticide, halogens, which is used in the fire extinguishing, methyl chloroform, which is again used as a solvent in the industrial process. So these chemicals are also destructing the ozone molecules rather than the chlorine atoms. Now, the effect of ozone layer depletion. So here we can find that the depletion of ozone layers, allowing the UV rays to come onto the earth, because of which we have seen the wildfires in the California, which was existing. So there are certain diseases or the problems or the effects of ozone layer depletion. First is skin cancer, second is eye damage, third is the damage to immune system and aging of skin. On the environment, when we see the effect of it, we can find that the decrease in the ozone at the stratosphere, increasing the in ozone present in the lower atmosphere, and the pollutants, the greenhouse gases, these are the ones who are reducing presence of the ozone in the lower atmosphere. So ozone in the lower atmosphere contributes to the global warming and climate change. What kind of a climate change we can find because of the ozone layer depletion? First is temperature, rainfall, wind, which has extended period of time, and we can find that the long for a long period of time, if it is warm, then the melting of the glaciers as well. So what are the causes of climate change? So the natural process and the factors are more is because of the human activities. So changes in the sun intensity, volcanic eruptions, or slow changes in the Earth orbit around the sun, natural process within the climate system, such as change in the ocean current circulation, is certain causes of the climate change. So what are the human activities you can find? The human activities including the burning of fossil fuels, methane and nitrogen oxide emission in agricultural practices, emission through land use such as deforestation, reforestation, all these urbanization and desertification. These are the factors which is impacting the global warming, developing the global warming. So what can you do for that? The one thing what we can do is climate change mitigation, climate change adaptation. Mitigation is about changing how we live, moving or consuming manufacturers which can reduce harmful effect of the greenhouse, or reduction of the production of greenhouse gases can be reduced. Okay, and then adapting refers to the practical actions to manage risk, protecting the environment by forming communities, strengthening the resilience of the economy by cleaning the sea levels or by cleaning the water bodies. Next thing we can find that the climate change effect on animal or bird life and plant. We can find that because of this human exploitation, the best example is the extinction of sparrows because of the 4G mobile or internet usage in the mobiles. I'm just switching this because I am sure you can go through once if I tell you, right? Now let us go to the unit 3. Huh. This is the last unit we'll go through once. Here we can find about the environmental pollution. When we speak about the word pollution, are again taken from the Latin word pollute, which means contaminate. So which is affecting not only the plants, animals, but also human being. So here we can find in the pollution, the chemical, physical, and biological change will happen. So here pollution can be a primary effect. The pollution can be a primary effect, which is immediate effect impacting the environment. The secondary effect is it produces under the interaction, like the interaction of moisture, sunlight, and other pollutants. So the agents causing this pollution are called as pollutant. Pollutants can be degradable or non-persistent pollutants, such as natural process like domesticate sewage or discard of vegetables. Slowly degradable or persistent pollutants remains in the environment for several years, unchanged like DDT. And non-degradable pollutants cannot be degraded by natural process, such as toxic elements like lead, mercury, and nuclear waste. That is the reason the decomposition of these pollutants impacts a lot into the environment. Then we'll speak about the ecosystem. Ecosystem is one of the functional unit which includes the biosphere, comprising of living and non-living factors in and their interaction with each other. So this is the ecosystem we can find. The sun. I'm just skipping this. I'm sure you know about it, right? So everyone is dependent upon each other. So when we speak about the structure of ecosystem, it has two components, biotic component and abiotic component. In the biotic component, you have living organisms. It has living organisms which are connected in the form through food chain. So we have producers, consumers, and decomposers. Right? The producers are which provides the nutrients. Consumers are dependent upon those nutrients from the producers, and decomposers are mainly bacteria and fungi, which decomposes the complex organic material into simple inorganic material. Abiotic components are uh, abiotic components are So abiotic components are non-living physicochemical factors of the environment, which includes the inorganic substances like carbon, oxygen, water, calcium, found free in free form or dissolving in water, may be absorbed on the soil particles. But the organic compounds includes the carbohydrates, protein, lipids present in dead organic matter broken into simple matter by decomposers. Then we have climatic factors like temperature, humidity, light, wind present in the environment. So these are the abiotic components. What are the causes of the environmental pollution? Deforestation, industrialization, loss of ecological balance, air pollution, water pollution, increased consumption of natural resources, and production of waste. Extinction of wildlife, habitual destruction, radiation pollution, soil erosion, all these are the major factors. When we speak about the biotic flora, fauna, and microbes in the ecosystem, The flora is collective term of the group of plants, which is found similar or particular region, like we can find certain plants only existing in the deserted areas, only existing in the water areas. The best examples are like cactus. The fauna is the representation of animals that is indigenous to a specific region. So when we speak about the microbes are usually applied to pathogenic. So it has five major groups of microbes, that is bacteria, virus, fungi, algae, and protozoans. Abiotic includes the air, water, soil. So air is a combination of number of gases, which includes carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen, which is 90% of molecules of the life. And water, which is again, water is a life for everyone. Soil, which is made up of small complex particles of rock, sand, clay, mix and decomposers of the plants and animals. So when we speak about the environmental pollution, agriculture is one of the old economic activity, which is cultivating method has changed in use. So cultivating, harvesting, livestock are all completely based upon the today's technology. So there are two types of farming system, which is practiced in India, such as subsistence farming, one of the intensive farming method, which helps in which helps because they use tools like digging sticks, etc. Depends on the monsoon and soil. Shifts. It is also shifting agriculture, whereas they have intensive practices in areas and the higher populated dense air lands. In those places, they do such types of farming, which provides a high dose of biochemical inputs. Then commercial farming, it is modern input which yield high variety seeds and chemical fertilizers and insecticides, pesticides to get high production of the agriculture. Then what is the importance of agriculture? It contributes in national income, main source of food, helps in developing agricultural industry, source of a good revenue, source of a foreign trades, develops transportation and source of saving. Capital formation, international importance, way of life, effect on price, source of labor supply, and economic development. Cropping seasons in India, we have Kharif, Rabi, Zaid, and Kash. So I'm just leaving this. I'm sure you know about it. When we speak about the industries, as we all know, after the Industrial Revolution, the concept of industries have started. The major the major middle class came because there was no dignity of labor previously. Because of the industrial revolution, we have got the industries today, and in India we have greater amount of industrial activities that is starting from the independence onwards, or before that also it was existing, but because of the British rule the industries went down, but after the independence we have again take up its lead. So we have different industries such as food industry, factories of foods, iron industry, steel industries, and so on and so forth. So the classification of industries on the basis of raw material, we have agro-based industries, mineral-based industries, marine-based industry, and forest-based industries. Based upon the size, they are small and large-scale industries. Based on ownership, we have private, public, joint, and cooperative sector industries. Then when we speak about the industries in the regions, so industrial region of the world, we have industrial region in India. The food consumption, recreation, housing, and indoor temperature and green buildings, we'll see that. Food consumption is one of the important survival need for all the living organisms. So here it is the food supplies of the nutrients provide a series of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and minerals, and many more things. So what is the function of food? It has the physiological function, psychological function, and the social function. So according to ICMR, they have classified different food items into 5 groups. Then we have the balanced diet when one has to consume. Then housing, the indoor temperature is very important to so that they can reduce the overheating. And green buildings are those which uses the natural materials recommend in the thermal insulation and leading edge constructional techniques. So with this, we end our session for today. And yes. we have come to an end to our session. So thank you so much for your patient listening. I have to teach you mission Kakatiya. Let me just share my screen. This is one of the very important question that comes. Mission Kakatiya. So, so these are the certain projects that the Mission Kakatiya has taken by the Telangana government. Ayakat area, which is as an irrigation project. CBTNB, community-based tank management project. IDC, that is its designing construction. Sikham land associated with water bodies. TMC's 1,000 million cubic feet. RR, repair, renovation, and restoration projects. So Telangana region has once proposed a part of Kakatiya kingdom to become the most undeveloped in under the Andhra government. So after independence of India, the process of SRA 1956 AP was formed, but earlier Andhra and Rayalaseema regions of Madras states and Telangana region of Hyderabad state was merged to form this big large Andhra Pradesh. This was done to bring all the Telugu speaking states together, but it didn't happen. So we can find that Telangana is now centrally located in Deccan Plateau, where we find a lot of indulgence, hillocks, undulations, hillocks, rivers, rivulets, streams, and which is a bless. We can find that ample rainfall ranging from 900 mm to 1100 mm annum. So because of this, we find there is a good amount of water. So they want this major Kakatiya mission was to have the geological characteristics of India during the monsoon region. Monsoon times was established to store facilities to hold the rainwater and reutilize this water. So we can find that after independence, they have developed these 5-year plans of country, concentrating majorly on the medium irrigation projects and canals. So here we find that they want to use excessive groundwater usage supported by the national finance and availing infrastructure and procurement of high subsidies, electricity, diesel pumps for developing this groundwater extraction without regulation. So here we find that they have started irrigation policy of erstwhile in the Andhra Pradesh, which was ignored, but now it is being maintained and developed to have tanks, allowing them to face the extinction of tank system, which result in self-sufficient villages. So we can find this Kakariya mission is one of the self-sustainable method that was adopted by the Telangana government. So basically, it resulted in migration of people from rural areas to Hyderabad and other far-off places had made their lives vulnerable. So one of the main component was to separate the state demand of the Telangana. So on one side, tap irrigations and canal irrigation was not developed, but now rightful share of Krishna and Godavari rivers was denied to Telangana. But because of that, 80% of farmers have done the suicide. But now they have taken that initiative, wherein they have included 10 Telangana districts and to have the they want to have the livelihood coming again back. So they started developing the water management, which was dependent completely on the canal irrigation. So they started developing these big dams. So 74.25% irrigation water to canal system was a major irrigation project, went to the coastal Andhra region, while Telangana only got 18%. So there was a backward region grant funds that out of total 30 backward districts and 9 belong to Telangana. So people strongly felt that by creating a new state of Telangana alone, we can reach them water. So major objective was to know the understanding of irrigation of Telangana and how to gain this development of the uh, water condition in the Telangana state. So they started developing this tank building near the Telangana pre-Satvahanas, and it attained excellence in Kakatiya era. So we can find that the Qutub Shahi Asif Jahis who ruled the Telangana region, they have developed this during the Kakatiyan era, wherein they wanted to have these water irrigations. So millions of hectares of land was brought into cultivation, and villagers has became self-sustained, and drought was a rare condition during that time. So again, they want to come back to those days. So lifeline, because as we all know, agriculture is one of the lifeline for the rural economy, and livelihood and the cultural centers for the rural life. So many festivals, as we all know, many festivals were celebrated near the tanks. So we can find Batuka is one of the celebrations that happens, right? So the notable achievement of this Kakatiya, this thing was they have constructed tanks for irrigation in the uplands, and around 5,000 of them were built by warriors' families during the Kakatiya rule. That's the reason they mentioned, they termed this Kakatiya mission, so that they can dramatically develop the rural area of the Telangana. So here we have the rivers like Krishna, Godavari, Musi, and Manjira River passing through the semi-arid areas, lands of Nizamabad, Karimnagar, Medak, and Rangareddy, and Mahmudnagar districts of Telangana. So the large quantity of water reservoirs are diverted to substitute the industrial drinking and other needs of Hyderabad, irrigation needs of other regions. So such these rivers would be sufficient and satisfy the water needs of this district. So major importance of this minor irrigation in Telangana, over 85% of farmers in the state belong to small and marginal categories with an average land holding 1.1 hectare. So 63% of farmers in Telangana depends on the rain-feed agriculture, and more than 70 crop area is rain. So agriculture is the primary source. As we know, 78 population is working in the agriculture field, but currently it produces only 30% of the total income of the state. So only 37% of the potential tank irrigated areas is served by the tanks in these states. So here, district-wise, they have tanks. They have planned to develop the tanks. Like in Karimnagar, they want to have 5,000. Warangal, you can see the statistics, right? And then gross irrigation area they wanted to develop from 2012 to 13. We can find this is the level they have worked upon. And why they have started this, as we all know, to develop the income condition for small and marginal farmers, and to accelerate the development of minor irrigation infrastructure, strengthening the community-based irrigation management, and adapting a comprehensive program to restore the tank system. This Kakatiya mission was a government prioritized mission to restore the minor irrigation tanks to its original capacity for effective utilization. So this Yakut, that was the project that was taken up, which was allocated the water about 20 lakh acres, but now being irrigated only to 9 to 10 lakh acres. So this reason for this gap I could under minor irrigation is because of loss of water storage capacity due to accumulation of the silt in the tank beds, ruined sluices, wires, and weak ones. And we have non-functional feeder channels, deteriorated condition of irrigation canals. Because of these reasons, the project program required a lot of work over it. Then identification of the tank, another mission. The major reason was to identify the tanks that are there by the district, by the district minister, local MLAs and MLCs, public representatives. They are the ones who are going to work on the restoration of the local tanks. Mandals, jurisdictions, all these are the ones who are going to help in repairing the the tankers that are there, and they are going. The priority was given to cover up major programs that have been taken place. So there was a chain of tanks which was identified in the phase one, which was repaired, resectioned of feeders channel and silt removal tanks, which was taken as a priority. So one urban tank constitute of mini tank ones as well. So the funding pattern was they started with the NABARD was starting 379 crores, and later on we can see the statistics. Year-wise budget, this was the budget they have designed with. And then, yes, so they wanted to develop agriculture department. So we have this agriculture department, which has sample collection, public to utilize research, balanced use of chemical fertilizer, introduction of high-tech agriculture. Then rural development covers various other programs such as coordination with the line departments. Then the forest department will be working on the nursery, utilization of the tanks, cultural operation, and silver oak toddy trees in the tank boundaries. So this is about the mission Kakatiya. I'm not going so much in deep. So basically, Kakatiya started to comes to water retention so that they can have a proper crop yielding, silt application in the farmland, groundwater tables, and a transparency in the documentation of project works. That is the reason this Kakatiya mission was started. So with this, I end my session for today. So see you all the best. I hope your final lesson plan went good. Final teaching practices. Okay, then we'll wind up the session for today. Kakatiya mission is one of the very important chapter which usually comes in the examination.
Ma'am, it will be long answer or shorter? Short.
It will be a long answer.
Excuse me, madam, unit wise, you kindly tell me which one they have to concentrate more accordingly.
I have given sir already in the beginning of the class.
Okay, madam.